training, but a crucial ingredient, evaluation. Champions don't just rest on their laurels. They analyze their performance, seek feedback, and continuously refine their skills. Similarly, in Toastmasters, evaluation is the tool that transforms good speeches into great ones and fosters personal development. When we talk about evaluation, we're not merely discussing criticism. We're talking about constructive feedback, an essential component of personal and professional growth. Just as breakfast fuels our bodies for the day ahead, evaluation fuels our journey towards becoming more effective communicators and leaders. Tonight's meeting is structured to highlight this principle. Our speaker will showcase their skills, and our evaluators will provide insightful feedback that aims to uplift and guide. And of course, we're going to get ultimate guidance from our educational speaker, Distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat Lokhandwala. So let's embrace the spirit of evaluation, not just as part of our meetings, but as our mindset. Think of every piece of feedback as a step towards greatness. Celebrate it, learn from it, and let it drive you forward. Now, we have slightly deviated from the normal Toastmasters format of meeting for today, as we are going to be taking in all the tips and points and strategies from Distinguished Toastmaster Lokhandwala. We have decided to have just one speaker who will be giving their speech. And we are going to have 4 evaluators. Is that correct, Bhavesh?
Yes.
So we will have 4 evaluators for the same speech.
3 evaluators.
Okay, my correction, 3 evaluators for the same speech. Thereafter, our very talented Mr. Distinguished Toastmaster Lokhandwala will evaluate the evaluators, thereby giving us detailed points towards this evaluation journey. Now, Distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat Lokhandwala needs no introduction. He is no stranger to the Toastmasters fraternity. But I want to give a short introduction for Distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat Lokhandwala. Distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat Lokhandwala is an accomplished speaker. He is a mentor and public speaking coach with more than 20 years within the Toastmasters fraternity. And he is a recognized distinguished Toastmaster. He has won many club and area and division level awards and has presented as a trainer on multiple occasions. His mentoring style is customized to the needs and challenges of his mentees. And he has recently mentored the winner of Super Speaker 3, a year-long nationwide contest having more than 2 lakh participants. His tailor-made processes have been trusted by over 100 people of all ages, refining their communication skills. His professional qualifications include a chartered accountant degree from India and CPA from the United States. And his corporate career includes stints at CFO level, positions for more than 15 years. He has also instructed professional accounting courses, as well as made presentations at international seminars. Sir, can we mute everybody, please? Thank you. Distinguished Toastmaster Lokhandwala is the past chairman of the Bahrain chapter of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He continues to be involved with the Chartered Accountant community. He has attended programs at IIM Ahmedabad and Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, amongst others. He is an avid believer that learning never stops. His most recent venture was completing 2 Harvard online courses in negotiation and alternate investments. I think we've said enough about Distinguished Toastmaster Lokhandwala. So without further ado, I will hand over the podium to Distinguished Toastmaster Lokhandwala. Can we have a big round of applause, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Priscilla, for this kind of introduction. Timer, I would request that when I start, I'll be doing about 20 minutes for the presentation. I would like to have at least 5 or 10 minutes to answer questions. So please give me a heads up. You start off at, say, 15, 18, and 19. Is that okay? Right? And same for when you're, depending on how much time you want to give me for the question answers, you all can just guide me on that. Okay? All right, so thank you very much for inviting me, such a nice audience out here. And I would request, it's always nice to see everyone because then I feel I'm talking to somebody. So please keep your videos on as far as possible. And that would be great if you can. And I would love to see all of you all being engrossed in what we say and interacting with what I say. Since I'll be going through the presentation rather quickly, I'm trying to cover a lot of points in this. I would take questions after that rather than during the session. Okay? So let's start off. And all right, guys, can you see me? Yeah. Am I visible, Barish? Right? Okay, so today we're going to be looking at evaluations. The way I'm structuring it today is that because we are having contest season, I'm going to tweak this presentation mainly towards the contest. At the same time, I'll be giving you enough tips on this that you can do normal evaluations in your club also. So let's start. Today, we'll be going about 2 things, basically. The why and the how. The why is basically simple. Why do we do evaluations? And that's just a starter. The how is where we do a deep dive into what we're going to be talking about, evaluations, how I do evaluations, what should be done, what should we look for, how should you structure evaluation, how should you present your evaluation, and tips for the same. And then we'll close off with the contest. One second, let me just, okay, let me just highlight the timer so that I keep that. Okay. So why? We know that we are here to improve, and we can only do that when we get feedback. Evaluation is the form of feedback that Toastmasters give. So it is definitely the core of our program. We talk about being critical and also appreciation. It's an oxymoron a bit, but basically we are here to talk about, to help them improve in a manner in which it helps the person improve. So, and in evaluation is the only part of the Toastmasters meeting where we have the ability or the chance to enhance both our listening as well as our speaking skills. In all other parts, you're either talking or you're listening, but here you can do both. All right, so now let's get down to the why, to the how. How do we do evaluations and what should we do about it? So when you go in, you will be given, and I'm talking in a contest, for instance, you have a piece of paper, right? An A4 piece of paper size. In that, you have to make your evaluation. What I do is, and this is what I do, is I keep the evaluation paper and I break it up into certain bits. I do the first part is on top. I write the speech title and the name of the speaker. Then I put commendations, recommendations, and I make a checklist. This helps me to structure what I want to say. It helps me to organize my thoughts. This is what I do. And I use a checklist in as much that I write down the points I'm looking for. Now, why do I do this? This is key to me. When I start writing down on the checklist, it gives me a focus area where I want to see, what I want to see. And that's important for me because once I know what I'm looking for, it's easy to look for it. If I don't know and I'm just going blank, then I'm still hunting for stuff. So I write down simple stuff, not too much. Good opening, body, conclusion, closing, natural. You could have whether a speaker had a theme, whether the person spoke something which is of interest to the audience, interaction with the audience. Obviously, something to make you smile, a bit of humor. Did the speech title reflect what you want to do? Notes typically a test speaker would not use, but grammar. And this is just a few. I've got a bunch of other things. Vocal variety. How fast did the speaker present? Was he very fast? Or did he go so slow that I went to sleep? Did he raise his voice and emphasize on things, or just went flat all the time speaking like this so that you go to sleep again? Pauses, gestures, eye contact, confidence, timing. The whole bunch is here. In fact, let's try to see if I can have from the audience what other things you think you can do. So I'm asking the audience, what other points can you use?
Audience can unmute and answer.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see any rhetorical device, any data, any
Very good.
that
Very good. Anybody else?
depression, and you're rating 60%
I can't hear. I mean, is it audible?
Structure.
Some conclusion,
Yes.
some call for action kind of stuff.
more thing.
Very good. Very good. Whether you have message, which is there. You could use other things. You could use quotations, research, right? Passion, if the person has. All of these things can be added. So this was not an exhaustive list which I had. It is a list which gives me a start.
Facial expression also matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gestures. Right?
Body
So-
language.
Body language, so many. So you can keep all of these points and you can write down on the side, because when you write down these points, it's very important to understand that we think we can multitask. But when you multitask, at each point of time, you can do only one thing. If you start writing something, you will not be able to listen to what the person is saying. So my idea of keeping the checklist is to tick these points. If there was humor, I tick it because I can always refer back to it later. Unless I find a point which I really want to write something about, I'll make a small note. Otherwise, I just simply tick these points and automatically I have a basis for my evaluation. This is what I do. I found it very useful. Now, during the speech, we have two types of hearing. One is the passive hearing and the active listening. And the passive hearing is when people are listening or hearing what the speaker is saying, but in their own mind, they already started thinking about what the speaker wants to say, what the speaker might say, what my evaluation might be. As a result, you're not focused. Active listening is when you keep a focus on exactly what the speaker is talking, so you listen to everything. When you make small notes only, you keep your focus clearly on the topic. Tick your checklist and don't write your evaluation speech. Not only writing, but also in your mind. When you start doing that in your mind, again, you're focusing on something else. I know of a person who was actually started writing small notes. So he put his head down, wrote that note, and he missed a point which the speaker was saying. And when he went to give his evaluation, he said, he told us, he said, the speaker should have spoken about this point, which the speaker had already said. So you can understand that if you focus on the speaker rather than on yourself, and you have proper eye contact with the speaker, it's very important to continually have eye contact, because that will help you to really understand what you're doing. We all know about the CRC method, right? Which is the commendations, recommendations, and again the commendations. This is how it's structured. But in a contest, I changed the last one to conclusion, because we need to summate. We need to make a summation of what we said. So I talk about my CRC method in a contest is commendations, recommendations, and conclusion. Now the structure itself is called the basic sandwich method, right? And you can see this lovely little sandwich out here. For some, it's close to lunch, or you just had lunch and you can see it. You can enjoy the succulent sandwich out here. And the commendations are like all the fillings, the sweets, the savories, all the beautiful stuff. The recommendations are the bread in the middle. And the summation is the whole sandwich encapsulated. So you have the start by always highlighting the strengths, followed by areas of improvement, and then finally you conclude with summating the whole thing. And of course, all the time, always on a positive note. So we have finished the evaluation. The speaker has gone back. Now you have your 5 minutes to write down what is to be done. So you talk in basically two ways in what everything is all about. It is about content and delivery. What was said? How was it said? So when you say what was said, you will talk about the message. You'll talk about the structure of the whole presentation. You'll talk about and how was it said. You'll talk about the pauses, the gestures, the movement on stage, etc. How was it presented? And evaluation basically comes under these two heads. If you get these two heads in, you've done a good job. I use simply the same things, the checklist points, because then now that's where I refer. That's my reference point. And I can make my evaluation speech based on the ticks which I've done or the crosses I have made. Typically, try to use only 2 or 3 major points and points of improvement. Sometimes, for some speakers, you may have multiple things. I think he did not have good pauses. He did not go on the stage properly, didn't use the stage area too well. His grammar was all wrong. He didn't look confident. Now, if you keep talking about points, I like the way he structured the speech. I like the way in which he gave a message. I like the way in which he came confidently on stage. I like you will confuse the people. You will add too much stuff in it. 2-3 major points where you will expand on it. I enjoyed the way in which the speaker came on stage. It is the beginning. They say the first impression is the biggest impression. And that's what I had first. Came confident and he delivered a speech which we all appreciated. And then you go, so you're talking about the confidence part and you're expanding on it. Take on something. And I really like the way he used his gestures and his, or you can say, or his pauses. It was so effective. And the humor at the right time punched it perfectly. When he said that he gave us humor about how he fell down and got up, I really enjoyed it. So you give us example with detailing. Similarly, for points of improvement, say where it is with examples. This is something which I found very often is in a speech. when I have an evaluator giving us evaluation, I want feedback. I'm not interested in advice. Advice, when you give advice, you always seem as if you're the bigger person. And nobody likes that. So it is not what you say, it is also how you say it. So let's take a scenario where you say, if you tell them, you need to speak up. Instead, you can simply say, I had trouble hearing you. You need to improve your eye contact. I noticed that you were tending to look at one side, and therefore the other side people, including me, felt a little left out. If you shared your thoughts with everyone, it would be better. It's more acceptable. Similarly, everyone comes up nervous. Don't look so scared. Don't look so scared. How would you accept that? Rather you would say, if you are more relaxed in your stance, you'd be able to express yourself better and connect with us better. So it is not what you say only, it is how you say it. And that is very important in any evaluation. And in fact, just not an evaluation, it is right across life. By saying, I didn't like your mistake, or you made a mistake, correct it. You can simply say, I think we can improve this better. Can you consider using this point? It will be more acceptable. You will be more acceptable. I use my evaluation sheet now to make it even more concise, because I've got so many scribbles on that. So I flip the side and I just write, what will be my opening? What are the points of strength that I want to see? Just bullet points. The areas of improvements and suggestions, how they can improve better. And then the summation. If I want a closing remark, I can add that. This helps me to consolidate my thoughts and to be able to present by looking just at this rather than all the scratches and the writings which I might have made on the front side of the paper. You come finally on stage. It's your time now on stage. All the time, keep it simple. The more simple you make it, the better it is. Not everybody is a native English speaker. Therefore, the more complex words that you use, the more flowery language that you use, may not go well with the judges. And those are the people you need to touch. So if you don't do it well with the judges and you make it very complicated, you may lose marks. And remember, it's all about the speech and the speaker. Supposing somebody is saying that, I remember the trip which I made to Goa, or a trip which I made to Dubai. Oh, and that whole speech was about it. And when, as an evaluator, you go, I really enjoyed the speech because even I started thinking about the same. When I went to Dubai, I also had the same amount of fun. And actually, I had an even better experience. Chief, it's not about you. It's about the speaker. Talk about what the speaker did, what the speech is all about. Right? And you will have your chance to speak, because what you are talking about is a mini speech. You are on stage. You have the opportunity to have your gestures, your passion, your points, how you speak, what you speak, using pauses, and everything is the same. But it should be about the speaker and the speech, not about you. You have to make that distinction and go. Obviously, what you're stating is your personal opinion. You're not speaking for everybody. Obviously, right? Because when you have different evaluators out there, each one comes up with a different viewpoint. So this is your views, and you can say it. In my view, this is what it is. Again, we have critical appreciation and constructive appreciation. So what you need to do in this is, even when you're appreciating, you're looking at it critically, but you're presenting it in appreciation. And when you give criticism, you're making it in a manner which it is constructive, where a person can come back and take that into effect. As again, taking the example of a person who is not having a great English language or great English grammar. If you keep pushing that point, it won't work, because the person is born up that way, brought up that way. So it's not going to help in terms of making that person better. He already knows it. He's been told about it. Find something different. And as I was expressing out there, please give examples. I know that when he gave a pause, I think it was a bit too short. When he spoke about the time when he fell down or when his father passed away, a little more of that pause would have highlighted the angst he was going through, the problems he was going through, and it would appreciate. So when you give that with examples, rather than just saying, he should have had more pauses. Closing on a positive note, even in the club, I've seen members who have left the club, left Toastmasters because the evaluator thought, I am here to find out mistakes. And that's how, by finding out mistakes, I will be able to improve him. No. If you focus on strengths, your weaknesses will take care of yourself. So you need to give recommendations, not just you need to give commendations, not just recommendations. Very important to close on a positive note that the person wants to come back. Let's go on to the contest part itself. In this, we are very fortunate that Toastmasters actually tells us how they're going to evaluate. For those in the corporate field, sometimes you don't know how you're being evaluated. You might have some KPIs, but you don't know what they're looking for. Here they tell you analytical quality, recommendations, technique, summation. These are the 4 points, and they give you marks for that. Think about it. If you're in an exam and you have 4 questions to give, and you miss out 1 question, you get 0 marks for that. Typically, the first 60-70% marks are always easy to get. For instance, if you don't summate, you don't make a summation, you got 15 marks which you've lost. You make a summation, you will get at least 6 or 7 marks, 8 marks. As you go better, you get more marks. But imagine those 6-7 marks which you have lost if you don't do it. And you will therefore maybe not get a place in the contest. You've got to follow what the rules are, because it's not like the club where you have public opinion, how well you spoke or what you did. Here, it's a structured way. So you got to know the structure, and it's given to you. You got 40, 30, 50, and exactly what each one does. Analytical quality says very clearly effectiveness of your quality. Carefully analyze, clear and logical, strengths and weakness. In your recommendations, you have to say specific recommendations and should be positive and helpful. You also have to look at your technique, and that's where you come up. How you use your gestures, your language, all the stuff. And finally, on summation. Please, I've seen so many people not giving a summation at the end and therefore losing out on the contest. I think that covers basically what it is. Now let's go into the question answers on this. All right.
Thank you so much for that, distinguished Toastmaster Lakhanwala. The floor is open for questions directed to distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat. Unmute yourself and go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, giving the opportunity for a question. Sir, DTM, Shaukat sir, I have a question. How we can create a bang opening and a bang closing and uniformity in an evaluation?
Thank you. People come up with different styles. Now, when we are talking about evaluation, it's an art, not a science. And therefore, there are no fixed areas where you can do. People have different styles of coming up. They come up with quotations at the beginning. They try to close at the end with something. Sometimes it sounds canned. It sounds artificial. And the more genuine you are, the better results you normally get. You can always create, and I've seen that happening. People say, okay, I'm going to start thinking. You got either an emotional speech, a humorous speech, an experienced speech, a message speech. And for that, I'll create an opening and sit down. I tend to think that you go straight on. I tend to go rather than taking too much time. Thank you, contest chair, judges, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and our speaker. It was good morning. It was so good. 15 seconds gone. I'll go straight up and say, thank you, contest chair. And what a speech. It was something which really caught my attention because it had a message, it had style, it had quality. Toastmaster, what's her name, whatever the person's name is, I enjoyed your speech. You've already gone into it. For your closure, you can use different methods, but I would just close normally by just saying, I think with all what I've said, I still think it was a very enjoyable speech, and I really look forward to seeing you. You can close it that way. That's a positive closing note after your submission.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, one question from my end. I always wonder how to uh, how to address our test speaker, and considering the contest in mind, like as a second person or a third person, he or she or you.
Let's take Toastmaster Ranjini was there. Toastmaster Ranjini, your speech was great. I really enjoyed what you did. The way you went about it was super. I don't tend to say my speaker, our speaker. I just say the name of the person. That's what I do.
You said the name of the person, then you are saying yours that way. You are addressing her that way.
Correct.
And other way was like Toastmaster Ranjini. She was very great. She did this. She gave.
I tend to feel, frankly, that you're distancing yourself.
Okay.
So I would rather be closer. I am saying clearly, it's how you say it. I think you did great. I love the way in which you did it. And you're going simply on that.
Okay.
That's how I use it, at least.
No, so this question was there in my mind since along, but you cleared it out. Thank you.
Come on, guys, show your faces. I mean, why is everybody on?
Sir, how we are moving from opening, then strength, area of improvement, submission, and closing. There is what's your experience and your technique transitions from these phases, from strength to?
What I do is I normally try to take 1.5 minutes for the commendations and 1.5 minutes for the recommendations. So that's how I normally do it. And the transition is, again, when you're transiting from commendations to recommendations, very often we feel, how are we to say, so we go very defensive. I think you did a very good speech, but all that I'm also supposed to tell you something where you can improve, because everybody who's there needs some improvement. Why? Why? You're taking so much time. I would simply go, that's great. I think what you did. In my opinion, what can be done better is this. Simple. Take less time so that you have more time for your content. And you need not be defensive. You need to be positive. You don't need to be assertive. You just need to be simple and sharing, and because they know you're supposed to give recommendation. So you don't need to get into it.
Thank you, sir. I from your education session, I observed one important thing. You told us about the checklist. So you're also telling us just work on these checklists and go in deep. For example, there's a voice modulation, so go deep. There's a high note, low, sad, excited, fast. So you're telling about the work on your checklist and go deep. And when there's a contest that you have already done your homework, and this is the time of your presentation, and you are actually telling speaker already you have worked on in a detail on your checklist.
Correct,
right?
because you have only 5 minutes to write your speech. In that 5 minutes, if you're trying to remember what was spoken, will take you a lot of time. So when you have a checklist and you have type, it helps you to condense your thoughts, helps you to focus your thoughts.
Okay, so one more question from my side. I would say two actually. So I'll say both the questions simultaneously. You can answer them. The first is, what if the test speaker is the best speaker kind of. Like I didn't get any recommendation. And second is the speaker was average and I have more than 6-7 recommendations. So in both the scenario, what to do?
I would rather have a person where I can speak about rather than a person I cannot speak about. That is one for sure. And I hope I don't have a world champion speaker in front of me like Ranjini or somebody speaking there. Can't find So what I would like to do is that when I used to practice sometimes in the past, I used to take a world champion speech and try to listen to it and see what kind of points you can raise. You can always raise your points. You can always say, for instance, I think that there should have been more pauses, or the structure was super, but I think you could add something more onto that. I think he missed a trick when he didn't add extra humor. There was humor, extra humor. So you can come up with stuff. It's not that you must come up with, only commendations. You can say that, but you can always come up with something where a person can get it. Remember, none of us are perfect. So as an evaluator, you sometimes have to dig a little deeper to get some points to talk about. And again, it is your views. Sometimes you may just add that if you really don't have anything, add something like that. As an experienced person, you will have certain stock things you can talk about. At least talk about it. Never say that there was nothing I can say.
Okay.
Second, the point which you raised was, if I have many commendations or recommendations, what do I do? I'm talking two ways now. I'm talking in a contest. In a contest, you need to be clear about which ones add value. In your 6 recommendations, you got 5 other contestants who have also noticed certain things. Which are the unique points? Select those. In the club, when I have 6, what I do is I give only 2, but then I contact the person later after the meeting. And then I'll say, I will share the details with you. But during the meeting, I have only 3.5 minutes. I've got a structure to follow, and I'll do that. Sometimes people really go 5-6 minutes on an evaluation because they want to say everything there. But you have to be cognizant of the time that you have and the stuff that you're supposed to talk about.
Yeah, ma'am, you raised your hand, so I just spotlight you, Ranjini ma'am.
Yeah. I don't know whether my camera is working. It's light is on from my side. I'm not too sure. Yeah. Good afternoon, Shaukat. I have one question. Usually they suggest that when you are giving your commendations, you look at the audience, and then when you're giving recommendations, look at the speaker. How do I make this transition smooth?
I think you do it in 2 ways. When you're talking, because look, you are basically talking to the audience. Occasionally to look at the speaker and just point like that, I did this well, but I think we should all look at this point like this. The minute you stop looking at the audience, you lost it, because you need to do that. You're only looking here, I'm in the audience, I'm going to sleep. That's a fact. So you keep looking periodically, not all the time at both.
Yes, sir.
You
I
got
just want
3
to add,
evaluators here, right? You got 3 evaluators. None of the evaluators have asked me a question.
sir, I just want to add one thing. So Toastmaster, our sergeant arm has a questions. There's a 3 challenges. Either we are going to evaluate a pro speaker, struggling, or extra. The purpose is to just add the value. So we can evaluate our best speakers, our national champion, world champions, so we can get an idea for better how we can evaluate. We can practice on that, right, sir?
Correct. That's a good way to practice. The more you practice, even for regular people, the more comfortable you'll become, and the more options you'll have, the more ideas you'll have. Also watching other evaluators. What I tend to do is I try to learn from other people's mistakes and from other people's achievements. So when you look at somebody else speaking, you say, oh yes, makes sense. I can use this where I want.
So there is where we're going to evaluate a target speaker. Sometime we're just taking the part of delivery side. So there should be we should split in the content. We should pick from 1-2 points from content or 1 point. What should be the criteria? Either we will go for delivery.
I think what is most important is what you think is most important. Because you got 2 points. If you think that both the points are from the content side, just use it from there. If you think both the points are from the delivery side, use it there. What you think. You don't need to make a meal in which everything is there. You need to be effective in sharing your thoughts in what you're saying. Sometimes some people say only 2 things, but that is enough. Person says one side is enough to win. It's what's most effective. I think Fawzia wants to ask a question. Please go ahead. Fawzia?
Yes, sir. This is me, Fauziya from Zenith Toastmasters. I just want to ask that give some advice to those evaluators whom I see that when they evaluate, they just look into the pages which they have written. They don't even look at those who have been evaluated. So I need some key points for them, sir.
This is what normally happens to when we go through the journey. And I also, when I first started, I used to do the same thing. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm going to write down everything. I write down and I go there. And now they'll write on the mobile and go there. And people who write on a mobile are even more disadvantaged because you're not given a mobile during a contest. What I do is I look at the points and you say, I made a summation sheet on the end. I put bullet points. So as speakers, when you have a bullet point, you just look at that point, pauses, you know what you're supposed to speak, and then you speak looking at them. You don't need to read. It depends on your style. Some people, what they do, they write the whole speech down first so that they know what they're going to talk about. But then afterwards, you put the bullet points only and go. And you have to work towards that. You have to practice that more so that you don't look at the paper and you go. It's like giving a speech. They'll do the same thing in a speech. So bullet points are the way to go.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's when I evaluate, I just advise people, my co-Toastmasters, to do the same because I follow your path. I follow the same thing as I have mastered in evaluation already done. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we are done with the questions. We can move forward.
Super. So let's progress on.
Yeah, we have one question from evaluator to Preeta. Yes, Preeta. You can switch on your video.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear me. So, I was just trying to ask you this question. While it is listening to you talk, and how you can
Rita, we can't hear you.
really talk.
Are you there, Preeta?
Okay, Emmy, you can, meanwhile, you can.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhavesh. So thank you for that wonderful session. It was very useful. I have evaluated a few times, but I struggle with this one thing. It is very difficult for me to simultaneously assess the speech while also listening to it. And it's really difficult for me. Does that just come with practice, or how do I go about it? Like, as I'm listening, do I sit with that evaluator mindset, or like, please help me with that?
I think this is what we all face. And I would suggest that you just sit with the active listening part, using I use the checklist to tick points or to write small points, but keep the evaluation at the end. You'll have time for that later. Don't let the evaluation come into your mind right now. Just listen to what the person is saying. You know, it said that God has given us 2 ears and 1 tongue for a reason. So use your listening skills better in that.
Thank you, sir.
So we can move. Yes, Rajini ma'am.
I also have a question. At what time should we stop the recommendations, start a summary? Secondly, are there any marks deducted in case if you use the paper? To refer to the points.
It depends on the judges. Judges are such people that you don't know. You've done enough this contest to understand that. You sometimes don't know how the judge comes up with something. Some people get affected by it. Try to keep the stuff that is likely to affect at a low level. So try not to use notes. Of course, audience participation will go down. Clarity, what you're speaking, it does affect emotionally. If you're a judge and you see somebody reading a paper, you're going to deduct. Let's face it. And I normally stop at 3 minutes. When I see the red light, I go straight into summation. When I go into summation, typically I finish in 20 seconds. So I have 5, 7, 10 seconds. All right. Taimo Vishal is putting the red card out for me, and he will red card me. I'll have to go out of this match. So please, let's go forward. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat. It was very, very informative, and I certainly learned a lot from it. We're going to move now towards the next part of our session, where we're going to have our speaker for today, and then we're going to have the evaluators. We've had a request from one of the guests to evaluate as well. So we will be now having 4 evaluators. So I'm going to be calling our test speaker to the podium right now. Our test speaker is Toastmaster Jamie, who is going to deliver her L2P3 speech from Innovative Planning. Toastmaster Jamie, standing on the shoulders of giants. Standing on the shoulders of giants, Toastmaster Jamie, over to you.
Have you had a mentor? I'm very sure we all are Toastmasters and we have had mentors in our life. When I started off in Toastmasters, I have always never called my people who advise me as mentors. I've never given them the official term as a mentor. And when I saw a mentor being assigned to me, I was myself surprised and I was like, oh, nice. This is really nice. And I always went back to this person for my speech evaluations. So vetting the speech beforehand and then finally getting an evaluation done. I was so happy with it that I was like, okay, getting probably lesser amount of evaluations is really nice. After some point in time, I did not realize the greater value of mentorship. Have you seen this mountain that is so huge and magnificent out there? You've just been amazed at the sheer look of it. It's probably given shelter to many. And there was this mentor who's been a great mountain to me, who has never cast this mighty shadow all across the land, but has etched a greater impact in my heart and in my life, and has entailed and has etched the course of my life as well. And I credit it to my Toastmasters mentor, distinguished Toastmaster Vinay Srivastava. Toastmasters, dear guests, and esteemed resource people, I am really honored to give this speech before you. Just like the mountain, I have always had my mentor at my back, earlier only for speeches, but as I grew up in my leadership ladder, I also realized I had so many other things that I wanted to ask of my mentor, be it about the conflict that I wanted to resolve. I never wanted to take anything to my parents. I was like, okay, they've already been burdened with my entire life. Let me not burden them even more with Toastmaster stuff. And with this, I kept on going to my Toastmasters mentor for all the petty issues that I had, even in Toastmasters or beyond as well. I used to nicely exploit my mentor by asking him questions over and over again. With this, there were so many bundles of lessons learned in my life that I have bundled up in my journey all along. Maybe tagged with the name that has probably caused an issue. I have probably had a conflict with maybe Jamie. So I have the lessons learned packet like Jamie and thrown it into my own life. And I've always used all of those learnings from my mentor all along. It's been quite a journey. Let me tell you a short story, which is quite unconventional of my mentor. There was a big mountain, and beside it was a teeny weeny stream of water that was passing by it. It saw all of its fellow streams following it, and all of a sudden they also crossed it and went ahead. At this, the teeny weeny stream of water felt very dejected and asked the mountain, "Oh, mountain, when can I even reach that mighty ocean? My fellow streams have already reached. Can you please help me and guide me?" To that, the wise mountain replied, "You have to be patient, humble, and present." And this is what the teeny weeny stream of water always kept in mind. When it was flowing all along, it remembered to be persistent all the time. Whenever it faced any small uphill, it had to gather all the force and courage and go take that stride all along. Maybe collaborate with people and then get along by being humble in itself. Sometimes it had to even probably go underground and take that course to eventually reach finally being present in the moment by just listening to the chirps of the birds all along and enjoying its course and going. This is something that my mentor also always says. Be it about collaborating or being persistent or being present, because I've never been that all along. I've always been carrying all of the things that have been coming along. I've probably been just ranting. I've been always confused and muddled with all of the things that come into my head. But now I'm present and I make sure that I always get a third perspective from my mentor. So if I have any problem, I go to my mentor, I tell him, and he gives me a third perspective with which I'm able to better resolve my issue. Now, when I tell that I'm literally standing on top of on the shoulder of a giant, I could take longer strides in understanding where I am to reach. I've always gotten unconventional advice. Have you ever received an advice like never say sorry? I have received that. Me being a child from a convent school, I've always have told this 5 rules of courtesy: please, thank you, sorry, kindly, and excuse me. And I've always been using these 5 words in my sentences, because of which I'm too passive. Every time a conflict comes up, I'm the victim. And I'm eventually just giving up by saying, okay, sorry, my bad. It was all my fault. And when I go back to my mentor saying that, okay, I did say sorry, but she still kept condoning me or kept accusing me of things. And that's when I heard from my mentor, hey, Jamie, stop saying sorry if you're not wrong. Do not boost their ego by just saying sorry. Their ego bubble will just grow and eventually the problem is not resolved. And that hit me hard. This is just one of the very many experiences that I've had with my mentor. And these experiences have shaped the course of my life. I never knew that all of these conflicts may arise in my professional life as well, that was yet to come. But when it came, I was able to better handle it. Now, when I think back, I always wanted that third perspective. Now, I do not always rely on my mentor, and I've given him some amount of relief by taking a third perspective myself as well, and understanding from a third perspective what is this looking like, and eventually taking decisions. And that's how it's etched in my life, and I'm taking my life in a better way. Even if some conflicts come upon me, I have that third perspective in me because of the giant that's helped me all along. You may have multiple mentors in your life, parents, relatives, friends. They might give you sound advice as well. You might have the third perspective from anyone out there. Be open to it, listen to it, and you'll get your conflict always resolved. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Priscilla.
Thank you so much for that soul inspiring speech. Definitely spoke to my soul. So, Master Sa, can we, so we have 4 evaluators for this session. Can we keep the first evaluator, Toastmaster Tanishka, in the room? And can we please remove the remaining 3 evaluators to the breakout room?
Okay, one second.
Toastmaster Preeta and Toastmaster Amy.
And no.
Toastmaster Noor, can you join the breakout room once it's you're invited?
One second. Have you get the invitation? Preeta, Amy, and Noor?
Not yet.
No, I haven't received.
Can you check now? Noor has joined now.
Toastmaster Preeta and Toastmaster Amy.
Preeta?
Toastmaster Amy, are you there?
She got disconnected. I was on call. I'll do it again once.
Okay. Toastmaster Preeta
Yes, she.
is in the breakout room.
No, no, no.
Toastmaster Bhavesh, can you please add me to the breakout room?
Yeah, 1 second.
Master Sa?
I don't
Toastmaster
know.
Banish?
Yeah, evaluator 4 has joined, but they are not able to join. Evaluator 2 and 3. So, 1 sec. Emmy, I have assigned you again. Can you please check? And Preetha moved out of the room. She said that she will join after 3 minutes. She doesn't want to be in breakout room. So I said, okay.
Okay.
Emmy has joined the breakout room. You can start now.
Okay, so we have, fine. Thank you so much. Timer, please note the timing for the evaluation session for each evaluator is 2 to 3 minutes. So you'll show the green card at 2 minutes, the yellow card at 2.5 minutes, the red card at 3 minutes, with a grace period of 30 seconds. Thank you so much. Calling our first evaluator to the podium, Toastmaster Tanishka. Toastmaster Tanishka.
Can you hear
Once-
me?
We can have audio video check. Oh.
Can you hear me, see me?
Yes, you are.
Want to see timer transition cards?
Just give me 1 second. I think my battery is done. Just can't let me charge. Keep the charge. Okay.
Okay.
Toastmaster Tanishka, would you like to see the transition cards?
Yes, green. Yellow. Right.
Back to me.
Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Tanishka.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anthony. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests. Today, as my speaker, Toastmaster Jamie has given her a wonderful speech how a mentorship can change her life, how a mentor can change in everyone's life. She started off with what is a mentor, how a mentor can change in her life. I love the way how you compared a natural thing that is mountain with a person, how a mountain is important to the nature and how a mentor is important to you in your life. Great job done on comparing a mountain and a person in your life. Secondly, that you were so comfortably telling you felt this was your audience. I like the way you were so confident about your audience area and the gestures you used in the speech. I felt you could have been using more voice modulation. I felt it was in the same wavelength where you could have given a bit pauses where you are explaining the situations. Like with the example, this is what my mentor told when he said, this is what is done. So you could have created a space that we are just telling and where it is a situation that we could identify that you're telling a situation with your mentor and the thing which you have learned. I felt there was a little bit less transition in that, but good job done when you were comfortable with the speech. Secondly, you could have improved on your participation with the audience. You could have engaged with the participant because it was mentor which is a same common topic for every person. So it could have created more impact on the audience rather than just listening a story. So as you have learned in your speech that how a third person's perspective, you could have also told us what you learned more, because you said you were connected through Toastmasters as well as in your life. But I felt you could have added more things, not rather just the third person's perspective, which you have learned in your life. So overall, the way you expressed your gratitude with the mountain and the person in your life is a mentor, and also the comfortable you were, like it was a tale story which in your life, and also you could have used more voice modulation on how, oh mountain, oh my mentor said this. They could have been a bit less or more voice modulations in your speech, and I felt you could have added more points about what you have learned, more than just more than one thing you have learned right now as a third person's perspective thinking. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Tanishka. Toastmaster Shaukat, do you require some time?
Sorry, I'm good. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. Is Toastmaster Preeta back?
Yes, see, she's in the meeting. Yeah, she has switched on.
Toastmaster Preeta, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I hope you're able to hear me.
Great.
Okay, great.
Okay, Toastmaster, our second evaluator, Toastmaster Preeta. Can you see the, would you like to see the transition cards for the timer?
Sure.
Is it visible to you?
Yes.
Thank you. Our second evaluator, Toastmaster Preeta. Toastmaster Preeta, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster Priscilla. Hello, everyone. And hi. I always love to hear you speak. And today was amazing too, as usual. And I could, from the very beginning of the speech, I could see the sincerity that you had in whatever you discussed. While you began with how you spoke about your situations and how your mentor has helped you thoroughly, it kind of resonated with me of how you are towards me. And, I see where this is coming from. And the way you use hand gestures is amazing. That gives a tone to what you are speaking. And I could also see intonations in your speech. And that did give life to, the image or the picture that you're putting in front of us. And I would also like to appreciate of varied vocabulary in your speech. However, there was this one place where you took a gap. I don't know if you were trying to remember something or, if that was intentional, but it was a little, it felt 1 or 2 seconds more. So if you could have filled that with expressions or, something, that was when you were talking about a ladder. You were trying to remember the word ladder. Maybe while you were thinking about it, if you could have done any motions or gestures with your hand, that would have helped the speech and would not have looked like there was a gap or we're stuck. And after that, I guess maybe you carried, whenever we have a gap in our speech, if it is intentional, we do tend to shake a bit. Maybe if that was the case, you used filler words after that, I noticed. And if we could maybe, use that gap here instead of using the filler words, I think that would have helped a lot with where we were going in the speech. And to sum it up, it was a great speech overall. It resonated really well with me, and it is really, really amazing to see how what happened in your life, you try to reflect that and be that mentor or the third perspective in other teammates or other Toastmasters' lives as well. So it was an amazing speech, Jamie. Thank you so much. Over to you guys.
Thank you, Toastmaster Preeta. Toastmaster, can we get Toastmaster Amy from the breakout room?
Yes. She is there.
Welcome, Toastmaster Amy. Toastmaster Amy is our third evaluator. Would you like to see the transition cards for timer?
Sure. Green, yellow, and red.
Awesome. Toastmaster Amy? Toastmaster Amy.
Thank you, Toastmaster Priscilla. Thank you, Toastmaster Jamie, for taking us to the beginning of your Toastmasters journey through your verbal memoir, where you shared your incredible journey, starting with your mentorship with DTM Vinay Srivastava. And it was nice to hear how he was not just your mentor at Toastmasters, but he also guided you at work. And we were able to see the importance of having a third person's perspective through your speech. Now, here are a few things which I liked about your speech, which caught my attention. Number one is the vibrant vocabulary you used. You used many analogies, like, for example, you compared your mentor to the shade that you get at the foothills of a mountain. Also, you described how it would be like literally standing on the shoulder of a giant. And you used words like etched in memory. This helped us to paint a vibrant picture of your speech in our minds. You were a very confident speaker, but you still happened to stop in between. Nevertheless, that did not stop you from going on ahead. You continued after the right amount of pause. And this shows your resilient spirit, and we're all inspired by it. I liked how you used your hands to convey gestures. You showed how lessons were bundled and labeled, and you also pictured the stream, the teeny weeny stream, and this helped us to portray the various scenarios that you were trying to depict. However, there are a few things that I would like to recommend which could add more depth and meaning to your speech. Like I said, I loved your gestures, but since the video was blurred at the background, sometimes when your hands were going away from your body, it created some sort of a distraction. Your hand gestures were obscured. Now, how could you have made it better? We could have always started with an audio and video check. Since the audio check was also not done well, we missed out on the first few words of your speech. Hence, it was a little distracting. The second thing which I would like to say as a recommendation is to add voice modulation, especially when you're narrating a story. For example, in the story of the stream and the mountains, you could have used a timid voice, a hesitant voice to describe the stream, and a bold voice with more authority and wisdom for the mountains. This could have added more depth to your speech. All in all, it was a wonderful speech with great vocabulary and gestures. But if you could just work on these minor points, like being a little more prepared, I think that would make it a wonderful speech. Thank you so much, and looking forward to hearing from you. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Amy. Can we get Toastmaster Noor from the breakout room?
Yes, madam, I'm here.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Great.
Yeah.
Toastmaster
Before I
Noor,
start this,
would you
before I start the
like-
speech, I apologize that my video will not be on. I'm at office right now.
All right. Toastmaster Noor, would you like to see the timer transition cards?
That's okay, madam. The timer is pinned here, so I can see the
Great.
timer.
Awesome. All right. Toastmaster Noor. Toastmaster Noor.
Imagine that the speech is evaluated on a scale from 0 to 100. Now, if you speak sincerely, you earn 25 points. Now, if you're energetic and passionate about your message, you earn another 25 points. Now, if you tell stories, you earn another 25 points. And if you do all the other aspects of public speaking and use those techniques effectively, then you get that remaining 25 points. Fellow Toastmasters, esteemed guests, and my dear Jamie, a very good day to you. Jamie, you spoke sincerely. I believe you connected with me quite well. Your facial expressions and gestures, I could see you were in sync with what you are saying. Now, what does that imply? It implies sincerity and honesty. Now, I love the way in which you started. It was very casual, and it did not take too long for me to figure out what you're going to talk about. It was about your mentor experience. Now, I also like your analogy of a mentor to that of a mountain. Now, you describe the mountain as huge, magnificent, and stable. And what way to introduce DTM Dinesh Srivastava as a mountain. Now, he'll be etched as a mountain in my mind now. For the very reason, the number of times you have reiterated him that way as a mountain. Now, repetition is key. Good job there. Now, I like your friendly disposition. It was genuine. If you want to immortalize a message, now stories are your go-to tool. Now, when you spoke about the patience, humility, and being present with that short story of the journey of a stream, that got registered in my memory. I'll remember the stream. So the stories are an effective tool. Now, these three aspects will improve your speech in your future. Number one, practice a written speech. Now, writing a speech, rewriting it, and practicing it, it'll help you refine your thoughts, craft an effective message which you want to communicate. Right? Please practice your speech a couple of times before you deliver it to a larger audience. I felt that your speech you delivered today was casual, and I could not see a clear key central message which I could take away. Number two, vocal variety. Varying your tone, rate, and pitch could all add variety, which retains that audience attention. And attention is where everything is at. If you could capture that attention, you are successful. Try to identify the areas which need these vocal tools, where you need tone to change, where you need to increase the rate of your speech. Number three, conclude emphatically. If you were to take a strong and a powerful approach to your conclusion, which calls to action and conveys a strong message, like, for example, you are a giant when you're standing on the shoulders of giants. Overall, I think you have a great potential. You speak sincerely from the heart and you can tell stories. If you practice, refine your thoughts while crafting a clear message and conclude emphatically, you'll be unstoppable. I wish you only the best. Madam Condisha.
Much, Toastmaster Noor. Now we've had 4 evaluations for the same speech, and I am now going to hand over the podium to distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat to give us his evaluation of the evaluators.
Thank you, Toastmaster Priscilla. I think everyone did very well. Everyone has their own perspective and everyone comes up with that. And each one is different. So to compare each one would not be fair. But I would just like to share my thoughts on what they did well and perhaps where they could do a little better. So Tanishka, I think you came across well. You did talk about the analogy and you talked about how confident she was and she had gestures which were there. I just thought that you could have had it a little more organized. You were going from recommendations to commendations and then continuing on. Again, in your summation, you were giving additional points and going forward. So a little more, organized would have been better. But what I want also is more passion. When you speak, speak with conviction. I really enjoyed what you spoke. It really resonated with me when you said, and your gestures, your confidence. Use the same thing as you suggested, voice modulation, animation, confidence when you're presenting that, because that shows from the heart. I think all and done was very good. You did a good job. Just take care of that's my view on the suggestions you could use. Preeta, where are you? There you are. Yeah. You talked about sincerity, hand gestures, vocabulary on those points. And those are all good points which you raised out there. You also needed to be a little more organized. You were thinking about the points and you were looking at one point which you tended to say is when you're talking about recommendations also is maybe you could do this. Now, when you yourself are saying maybe, then it doesn't seem that you're convinced about what you're saying. So you go straight on and say, yes, I think that you should do these points. In my view, this should be done. In your summation, you were a bit brief. You only use the good points. You're supposed to summate it clearly, concisely, and then come across with your points. Yeah. Okay. Amy. There she is. Yeah. Amy, I really like the way you came across. You're cool, calm, and confident in the way you shared your thoughts. They were organized. You came and I like the way you used the vibrant vocabulary. You yourself used very nice words to express exactly what you want to say. And I like the way in which you selected the good point is you had a pause, unintentional, but the way you went forward was good. Just add a little more flavor in that way. So it really stands out and you tell exactly what you will say out here. Your points for gesture are also good. You did talk about in the commendations about the video being blurred, which is a good point, which others didn't come up with. So that was a good thing because you had something unique. And that's what you should always look for when you're coming out there. You did talk about the voice modulation, and I like the way in which you also expressed that the hesitant voice which you used and you came across and you talked about the stream. You did a good summation. All in all, you did a very good speech. I would like, again, a little more passion in that, a little more pauses, because it's your speech too. So that will emphasize the good points you are saying. You can interact. Isn't it great with the audience? Yeah. Come on, everybody must have liked it. Raise of hands. Come on, who enjoyed the small speech like that? So that was something which was there. So well done, Amy. Finally, Noor, you're an experienced speaker. It's very evident the way you come across, the way you speak, is that you're an experienced speaker, and it's always super to hear when you say, I love the rate of speech you have, the pace at which you use, the clarity of the words that you had were really very, very good. I like the way in which you also pointed out the 25 different points for different things. Well, I thought perhaps you didn't close it. You gave 25 points for each one, but you just said, I think you scored 25 for this, 25 for this, 25 for this, 25 for this, or almost all for all. So you should have closed that point which you came up with out there. I like the way in which you talked about sincerity and the facial structure which was there. You did, when you said, when you went to a transition for how did you speak or what she should do better. So you just came across, in my view, a bit stronger. You said, these are 3 points which will help you improve your speech. To my view, it is like an advice. I would rather say, in my view, I think there are a couple of points you could consider to make it better. It's more acceptable, more palatable to the speaker. And you did say, I mean, you didn't use the word my view. So it came across as an advice that you're speaking for everybody. So that's one suggestion which I have out here. I like the word about the choice that use practice. Again, when you ask a person practice more, you're presuming the person has not practiced, which may or may not be correct. So rather than presuming on something, which you did say, I think it looked like that. But you could say, you could have used other points which you had, that you didn't see the central message come across, vocal variety. When you spoke about vocal variety, you said, find areas of vocal variety, rather than giving specific areas where the vocal variety could have been used. For instance, on the stream part of it, the flowing of the stream. Just going down slowly and watching the others pass so fast. No, it's good you do that, because eventually you're in the present. So you could have shared exactly where you thought the vocal variety, rather than asking the speaker to find something. And conclude emphatically, yes, good summary which you had, you did well in time, everything went super. So I think all in all, you did a fantastic job. I really enjoyed your speech and definitely look forward to going forward. I would like to comment on general parts of it also, on all the speakers. So points like, you could have used points like personal story. I didn't see anybody come up with personal story is the cornerstone of a good speech. We did speak about other things, but this word adds a lot of value when you talk about personal story which is out there. And the choice of word, the teeny weeny stream, it was very cute, very nice. It intrigued us. So you could use those, the analogy which you had out there. And she used a conversational tone. She's talking to friends, not giving a speech. And that's what endears us. So certain points of these also could have been added out here. On the other hand, she always has a smile on her face. Very nice to friends, but not in a speech. Your voice should change. And I think your facial expressions, you did say, I think, right? Who did say that? I think somebody did say about the facial expressions also. But that was one point which I thought that when you are scared, it's like, what do I do? Your facial expressions should say. You keep saying, what do I do? I should still go to my mentor. I should still go. So it's nice. But make your speech to the words that you're selecting. Right? So I think all the speakers, the speaker did well. I think all the evaluators had their style, which was clearly seen. All of us can definitely take different advice. And what advice I give, or rather what suggestions I'm giving, may or may not be relevant for you because you have your own style. It's just my suggestions, which I would request you to consider. With this, I hand back to Team Order.
Thank you so much for that valuable insight, distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat. I think everybody has benefited from the session and learned. I certainly have. As we bring our meeting to a close, I want to express our collective gratitude for the vibrant participation from clubs around the globe and invaluable insights shared by distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat. Today, we've explored the art of evaluation, a cornerstone of our Toastmasters journey. Distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat's session has illuminated how effective evaluations not only refine our speaking skills, but also foster a culture of continuous improvement and mutual support. Let's take these lessons to heart, applying them in our future speeches and evaluations to uplift ourselves and those around us. As we move forward, remember that every critique is a gift. Every suggestion is a stepping stone towards excellence. Let's embrace the spirit of constructive feedback and carry it with us, turning each evaluation into an opportunity for growth and empowerment. Thank you all for your active participation and for making today's meeting a testament to the strength and unity of our Toastmasters community across the globe. Safe travels, and until we meet again, keep striving for excellence and supporting one another in this shared journey of growth. I would request us to please take a group photograph. I request everybody to please turn on your camera so that we could have a group photograph. Tanishka, would you do the honors?
Everyone say cheese.
Chicken.
Thank you.
Noor's very handsome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody. It was a very impactful session for me, and I'm sure for most of us here today. Thank you again, distinguished Toastmaster Shaukat. We look forward to leaning on you over and over again for your expertise. And please feel free to visit us whenever you can. I know you have a very busy schedule, but we would all be very honored to have you.
Thank you. Where do you all meet normally?
We are an online club.
Oh, okay.
I think Irfan has a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. You're allowing me to give final remarks. First of all, I just want to thank you, this club and President Sergeant Arm, who are arranging this meeting, and special thanks, DTM Shaukat. We have learned many things, and today I was struggling in how to tackle the presidential address. I'm thankful to Mr. DTM Shaukat, and I was very excited. I really appreciate your energies, and my best wishes are with you, and I enjoyed thoroughly. All of you are very kind, very humble, very beautiful people, and that was honor for me to join this club on the online meeting. I'm very, very excited. Inshallah, in the future, whenever you call me, I will be there for you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Toastmaster Vishwajit Veer, can we hear a few remarks from you? Toastmaster Vishwajit? Go ahead, Toastmaster Vishwajit. We can't hear you. In the meantime, can we hear from Toastmaster Lawrence?
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Toastmaster Lawrence.
Hi, Toastmaster Priscilla. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, my name is Toastmaster Lawrence Chumba from Mombasa, Kenya. I was glad to be part of the session. So I was late because, as you can see, I'm at work. I work at the cement plant, but indeed I was following what was going on within the session. It's afternoon in Mombasa, Kenya, but I tend to believe that me, as Lawrence, I've learned a lot on how to be a good evaluator within the Toastmasters platform. Thank you, Toastmaster Priscilla, for sending me the invite. As I said, I joined late, but indeed I was able to get and learn a number of insights within your club or within your meeting this particular afternoon. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you so much. Toastmaster Vishwajit, are you there? All right.